Hey there, and welcome back to this week's episode of Gaia's Wisdom Podcast, where we're talking about horses and fire. And I know that you're fed up with the fire horse hype, as am I. That's why this is going to be a little bit different. Because every piece of content about the year of the fire horse I've come across speaks about the same themes: speed, bold action, rapid change, unstoppable momentum. Now, maybe that's because most of them are churned out by the same AI machinery and the rest of them are copied, which is why this episode is going against the current. Not just because when everyone's saying the same thing, I start to feel an unstoppable urge to say the exact opposite, but because it's time that we started trusting our own knowing. And this is not to dismiss the themes mentioned above. They're all a part of it. Everything is accelerating. Things are getting hot. Momentum is building. And burning out is a real possibility. And I touched on all of these things in my 2026 Cyclical Energy Forecast that you can still get right now. But these themes, they're not the full picture. And before attempting to fill out the missing pieces for you, I'll say this. You're not new to horses or fire. They're an integral part of the evolution of humanity. You carry the knowing of horses and fire in the cellular memories of your body, in your ancestral DNA. The collective field is full of tales of horses and fire. You know, my grandfather still tells me about how they spent 4 days on a horse carriage, traveling the distance that a car now covers in less than 2 hours. And that's a lived experience of a man that's still alive to tell the tale. But lived experience or not, we all know something about these energies. And that's what I'd like us to remember with this episode. So let's start with lessons from my old mare. My younger half-sister and I used to share a retired competition mare. Technically, it was her horse, but I got to ride her whenever I wanted. And I did, finally making good on that childhood dream of mine that I wasn't allowed to dream way back when, even though I was already in my early 30s. But it wasn't long before that dream got painful. Because horses aren't just fast, they're also some of the most intuitive beings on the planet. So when I came to her, vibrating with the stress of getting my toddler out of daycare and then fighting the rush hour traffic to get to the ranch on time, she simply turned her head away from me, letting me know I need to get my shit together before she'll ever allow me to put a harness on her. She also taught me how much outsourcing my power hurts. One cold, snowy, moonlit November evening, I went riding by myself. It was a fairy tale scenery, but I felt uneasy. And so we barely just started walking when she flew off the handle and threw me off her back. And I still can't decide if she actually got frightened or she just wanted to see if she could get away with it. And she could. And so after that, not a lesson went by without her doing it again and again and again. And I, an adult woman, a mother, I bawled my eyes out about that horse hating me again and again. But I kept getting back in that saddle, even when it was the hardest thing ever. Because sometimes it was my ego that hurt, and sometimes it was my tailbone. Turns out, though, she didn't hate me. She was teaching me to be in my power, to command a situation, to keep going no matter what. She was the best teacher I've ever had. And the last time I rode her, already pregnant with my second daughter, was the first time her and I rode out into the forest alone. Just the two of us, trusting one another. And so my childhood dream came true. And the story got a perfect epilogue. So when I think about how the energy of this fire horse year is going to treat me, the answer that surfaces is however I allow it to. If I'll be stressing out, the year will turn its head away from me. If I'll give my power away, it'll shake me off, and that's gonna hurt. But I also know it's much harder to throw me off now. I know that I will keep getting back in that saddle, despite the fear, despite the pain. And I know that I will get my perfect epilogue in the end. And so the main thing to master this year is our own energy, because you cannot bullshit a horse. So here's some food for thought. With how your energy is right now, would a horse approach you or let you harness it? And would the vibration you're emitting right now get you to that perfect epilogue of 2026? Because if not, that's what you're meant to work on. Now, moving on, I have some lessons from my fireplace. Everyone talks about fire as this burning, scorching force. But really, lighting a fire isn't easy. When you're working with a cold fireplace and damp logs, even a lighter won't help you. So here's what my fireplace taught me about the energy of 2026. You need to clear out the old ashes. And this one is obvious. You have to release the past. Then you need paper twigs and things that burn easily and quickly. It's like little baby steps towards a goal that feels big and scary. Then you need to make that first flame super intense for the big logs to catch fire. Like a huge wave of enthusiasm and a big why that keeps you going. You also need to make sure your fire is getting enough oxygen or it suffocates. Just like you need all of those things that sustain and nurture you. Now, talking about suffocating, don't overload the fire with the big logs too early on. That's like not going all in on your first day at the gym because you'll break yourself. And what you really need is for those logs to turn into embers. That's like having a steady foundation and consistent energy. So when you have those embers, managing the fire gets easy. You put a log on, it catches fire. You don't because you're asleep or just living your life, and the embers wait. With embers, you can build huge momentum at will fast. Or you can take a break from tending to it without fearing it'll go out the second you turn your back on it. So when I think about how to work with the energy of fire to achieve my goals this year, that's the answer. I prepare. I make sure I have everything I need. I accept that it's going to take a lot of my time and attention at first. And I know that soon enough, the house will be nice and warm, and I'll only have to throw another log on when I come to the kitchen for my next matcha. But I will say this. Once you have those embers, it's easy to get carried away. It's beautiful to watch that big, blazing, effortless fire. But when it gets too hot, it dries out the air, irritates my breathing, and cracks my skin. So here's something for all of us in 2026. Even with the energies that make momentum feel effortless, pacing ourselves will keep us from burning out. And now it's your turn. Forgetting about everything you've already consumed about the fire horse, including this very episode, I invite you to close your eyes, drop in, and feel. What do you know about these energies? And then allow your knowing to lead your year. With that, I'll just add that if you have trouble trusting your inner knowing or leading your year, you still have 2 days left to order your personal roadmap, which is basically a translation of what you're meant to focus on this year and a timeline on which to do it. I'll include the link under this episode. Until next time, I'm sending you so much love. Bye for now.